Welcome to TechbrothersIT. In this video, we are going to learn how to use Azure Dev Ops for Azure Data Factory CI/CD. So continue integration, continue development. So in this video, actually, we are going to learn tons of stuff. I have put some of the headings here, but honestly, there is a lot more stuff you're going to learn. So I will suggest you stick around and take a look. So we will be starting from very scratch, and we will be creating our Azure Data Factory that's going to be development. Then we will create another Azure Data Factory that's going to be used for UAT, or you can call it prod, or whatever you want to call it. Then we will be creating Azure DevOps project, then creating the repos, so we can check in the data, check in our pipelines and all the objects in from the dev to the data repo, and then we will be using that repo to deploy to the UAT. So now we will be doing Azure DevOps these are all that we will be creating branches. We will be merging the branches. We will be creating pull request, and then we will be also publishing. Then how the ARM template work, that will be done. How the pipeline will be created with the how the override parameters are going to be happening. So there are tons of stuff we are going to learn. So let's go ahead and start working on the demo itself, so you see everything in the on the screen. Now, first of all, I do not have any resource group. I do have actually one of that in the existing um, portal account that I have. There is one resource group I already have. I was doing some demo, so I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to create a new resource group, so we will know everything from scratch. So create a new resource group, and what we are going to do, resource group, just to type that. Okay, in the resource group, what we are going to do, we are going to use the subscription and provide the resource group. I'm going to call this one a TB resource group. Okay, so very short name, and East US is just fine. We don't have to worry about any tags or anything. So just remember that this is our resource group that's going to hold our Azure Data Factories and then other objects. Go to resource group. Resource group is ready. So second step, what we were talking about here, I'm going to put this one anyways. So that's my first step, or zero step, create resource group. Okay, and then we call this guy. Okay, so second is creating the Dev Data Factory and then UAT Data Factory. So let's go back to the portal, and here we are going to go to the home. Here we will go find the data factories, and then we are going to go ahead and create a data factory. Select the subscription in the resource group TbRG, that's our resource group, and it's going to be East US, East US. Okay, then provide the name of the data factory, and here I'm not doing any configuration as of now. I will come back and do the configuration once all these objects are created. So let's create this data factory, and next we will be creating our another data factory that's going to be UAT. So whatever the changes we will be making, whatever the development we will be doing in this Azure Data Factory, that's good Dev Data Factory, we will be pushing to our UAT Data Factory, and then you can also push it to the production and other data factories you have. Now, what we have here, that's our first data factory. The second data factory I'm going to create is going to be in the same resource group, and they can be in different resource group, but in my case I'm just creating in the same resource group. So I'm going to call that one is the UAT. Okay, no configuration has to be done on UAT or prod and all that. Okay, so we are going to hit create, and our data factories are almost created. Now if you go to the our notes here, second part is the create DevOps project. So because we need to configure our TechBrothers Azure Data Factory, Dev Data Factory, to use the repo, right? So that's where I need to create this all the objects such as project, such as repo, and the Azure DevOps. So I'm going to go ahead and open right here, new tab, Azure.dev dev.azure.com. Okay, so that's the link I will open, and as you can see that I'm already logged in here, and there is a project right there. So you don't have to do, if you do not have the account, you're going to create a new account, and then it's going to ask you what is the name of the project, or what is the name of the workspace and all those kind of things. So in this case, that's my account right there, and then I have this project. Now I'm going to this creating your account is very simple. You can use whatever the email you want to use, and then it's going to bring you right here on the front page. Once you are here in the Azure Dev Ops, this is going to be account, right? So you can create a new project. So go to new project. In my case, I'm going to create this TbProjectADF. So just I have typed it here so we will remember that. So in this project, you will be creating the repository. So you want to keep it private because I don't really need to give permission to any people. Later on, if I want to give permission to somebody, I can give the permission. And this is for ADF deployment demo. Okay, so that's my project is going to be. So our TbProjectADF is ready, and once you click on the repos there, what happened, it already created one repo with the same name. So you see right there, that's my account, and then this is my project, and this is my repo, and then in the repos you have files, and then you have the repo itself. We can create a new repo, it's our choice, and if we want to keep the project name and repo name different, so let's create a new repo in this case. So it's going to be Git repo Team Foundation Visual Studio. No, we don't want to do that, and you can provide the repo name. Let me go back here, and I'm going to call this guy TBRepoADF. Okay, so we can click right there and provide the name. Now create, and our repo is created. So account, first of all, in the account, that's your account, right? And then inside the account you will create the project, and inside the projects you are going to have different repos, right? So here we have multiple repos, but we will be using TbRepoADF. So you see there was one repo that's created with the same name of our project that we are not using it, so we are going to use this repo. Now our repo is ready, and we should be good to go, and we can configure our Azure Data Factory Dev Data Factory. So let me go back here, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my portal and go to the Data Factory TbAzure-Dev. Okay, so in the Dev I will be opening our Data Factory Studio, and let's open it. Once my data factory is open, you can see right there, and then I can go to manage, and in the manager I can go to the git configuration. As of now, I do not have anything configured. I even don't have linked service. I don't have any integration service, integration runtimes on all that beside auto run configuration, auto run integration runtime. So that's fine. So I can go to the git configuration, and here I will say configure. Now it gives me two options. It asks me, hey, what type of repository you want to use. You want to use the Azure DevOps Git, or you want to use GitHub. If you want to learn about GitHub, I already have a video on that one. You can watch in the playlist. In this demo, we will be using Azure DevOps Git. So remember that we have created a project, and we have created all that information. So once I do that, as I'm logged in with the same account, it is giving me this default directory, and then I'm going to hit next. Now what I will do, it is asking me select the repository. So first of all, that's the organization name, and that's the name for my account, right? So that's where then it's going to give me the project name. So if you remember that there are two projects, and one we created is called the TbProjectADF. That's what we are going to use. Now inside this TbProjectADF, we have two repositories, one with the same name that got created, and one we created. So it is called TbRepoADF. So we are going to use that. Now in the collaboration branch, you can have like you can whatever the name you want to do it, but in this case you can have main, you can create new one, so it's your choice. So mostly people, what they do, they create with the name called master. Some people use the main one as well. So let's use master in our case as well, and then your publish branch where your ARM template and everything is going to be this, that's going to be ADF publish. Okay, so you will see, I will show you all that details. Root folder is just fine. Import existing resources to the repository, doesn't really matter. I don't have anything as of now, so if you leave this unchecked or checked, it's not a big deal. So in this case, let's say I have already provided master. Okay, import resources into branch in master, that's what I will say. Fine, apply. Okay, our repo is connected, and what you have right there, I'm gonna hit save, and you can see all the information right there. So you can see repo type, that's your Azure Dev Ops, the Azure Dev Ops account, that's my account. Then we created the project TbProjectADF, then we have repo name TbRepoADF, collab branch is the master, and then publish branch is this guy. Now we are all good here. We are connected to the Azure DevOps. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what we can do. Here in the link service, I'm going to create a couple of link services. Actually, let me create maybe only one linked service. Let's go to our portal and do a couple of things. First of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my resource group, and in this resource group, I'm going to create two storage. One I will create for our UAT, and one I will create for our dev, because we will read the data from our dev container and put into the another dev container, right? And for UAT, it should be reading from UAT container and putting into the UAT container. Okay, so right there, go to home, and then we find storage account. And in this storage account, I'm going to create a TB. So resource group is going to be same RG and TBRG, right? So and I'm going to call this one TB storage, and then I'm going to call it dev. Okay. So okay, this account is already taken, and I don't know if I say underscore dev, that will help. But no, you can't really have it. Okay, let me see. TB dev. Okay. So let's see if this is available. Looks like this is available, so I can create a storage with that. Now I don't have to do anything else, so I'm going to go ahead and create this storage and create. Now next storage, what I would like to create, I'm going to create another storage, and that's going to be used for our UAT. So I'm going to create this storage and go select the resource group TBRG, and here I'm going to call it the UAT. Okay, and UAT blobs TB storage, and the East US is just fine, so create that, and also make a note here. So I'm going to call it 3.1. Okay, we create storage for dev and UAT. So I'm just keeping a note so you can follow along if you want later on. Okay, so this storage is created, and in this storage we will be would like to create two containers. So I'm going to go ahead and create here, and now I will be going back to the home, and then I will go back to my resource group. In the resource group, I have this dev storage created. So if you notice that in the dev storage, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one container here called input, where I will move the file, and then I will read the file by using pipeline and write to the output container. So output container. Okay. So that's one of the things I wanted to do. In the input container, I'm going to go ahead and upload our file. So upload, and then we will move that file. So same setup, because we are going to create the pipeline that will be reading from always input folder and writing to the output container. So we'll be using the same type of names for the input and output containers. So in this dev storage, I created the container with the two names, input and output. We'll create the pipeline that will move to the UAT, should work with the same structure. Now resource group again, and here I'm gonna go ahead and try to refresh right there, and I will go to UAT storage here, and I will create two containers. But in these containers, I'm going to call it input, and then I will create the output container. Okay, So we can move the file later on here if you want. Right now, okay, let's move the file for now. Even we are not really doing anything with that file right now, because we don't even have a pipeline. We have not deployed a pipeline, so we are not doing anything, but later on we will do that. Okay, so that file is there. So now our blob storage is ready, and then we are going to go to Dev Data Factory. So first of all, think about that. You are, see right there, you're connected with the master branch. Now a new developer, or you by yourself, anybody who is going to be start developing pipelines here, they are not going to be developing in the master branch. What they will do, they will create a new branch. So first of all, let's go create a new branch. Now let me take you to the Azure Dev Ops and show you what we have in there as of now. So if you are in the this project right there, and in the project you have our repos, and in the repos if you have these two repos, right? This was created by default, and this is the one we created. So as of now, you see that there is nothing in this one really, and that's our main branch, and here is our master branch. In the master branch we have only factory, and the factory doesn't really have a whole lot of information right there. Okay, so no big deal. We are going to create everything and then check in. Once we check in, the things will go here. So we'll go back here, and now what we are going to do, we are going to start building. First of all, somebody who is a developer, let's say his name is Amir, and he need to create this pipeline. He's not going to have a permission here in the master branch and just start creating the objects, because from the master you will deploy the pipelines to the data factory. So see right there, this is our master branch, and then from master you will switch to the live mode. Once you publish your changes from the master, they will come to the live data factory, and you don't want to do that, like give permission to people who will create the pipelines and objects in the master branch. You are going to give some permissions to Amir, and tell him, hey, create a new branch. And once he create a new branch, he will have all the information from other pipelines and everything. And in this case, I don't have any other pipelines as of now, so my branch will have nothing really. So I'm going to create a new branch, and I'm going to call this branch Amir's branch. Okay, so Amir's branch, he's thinking to create a pipeline. Okay, and based on what master branch. Okay, so if there is something in the master branch, it will come, but right now I don't have anything. So Mr. Amir has created this branch now, and he's ready to go and work as a developer and create pipelines. So first of all, he's creating a linked service, and now he's going to go to the new and select blob storage. And in the blob storage, he's going to hit continue, and now he can say name LNK, and he will say blob storage. Okay, so and in this he will select the subscription, then he will select the name of the storage, dev storage, and test connection, and create. Link services will be published immediately. As Data Factory cannot store credential in the Git repository, this change will be published right away. So this is okay, we are fine, so let it publish, Now this linked service is created, and it is saved successfully. So what's going to happen now? Amir has to create a pipeline. He's going to go to author, and he's going to create a pipeline, his first pipeline. So a new pipeline. In this pipeline, he's going to call this pipeline pipeline underscore copy customer. Okay, so that's the name he gave. Now he used the copy activity, and if you remember that there is a dev storage, right? So he's going to say copy customer data from input to output folder. Okay, he's gonna go to source. He's click next, and then he's gonna find the blob storage. Now in the blob storage, he's gonna select CSV, and then he will use the linked service. So then he's gonna navigate to the file path. That's input. Select the file and hit OK, and hit OK. Now what's going to happen? This file has to move to the output folder. He's going to click on the sync, create new, and then use the blob storage. So it's the same blob storage because there is an input and output container in the same blob storage. Now he's going to select the same linked service, select the folder or container, hit OK, and the first row has header, hit OK, and then he's going to select the data set, go here and provide the file name. He provided a file name and it's all good. He can go ahead and debug and all that. He can save it. Once he saved his changes, it's gonna be there in his branch. Okay, now he's gonna go ahead and debug. And once he debug, he will go to the dev storage. He go to the containers, and in the container output, he will wait for the file. So he's gonna refresh and see the file is there. Now he will see the file contents and say like, oh, the file, is data is there. Don't worry about this column 1 and all two, that I did not really work good on that. Okay, I can go and make changes here too. So he can go open and go to the first row has header. Okay, that's what he need to do. Fine. So now he's gonna hit save all, and his changes are saved. But his changes are saved in Amir's branch. So if I go to the Azure Data Factory, if I go to the my repo here, so right there, and you see that go to project, and in the project we have repo, and in the repo we have TbAdf right there. In the TbAdf, you can see a new branch, Amir's branch is created, and that has everything such as data sets, data factory, linked services, pipeline. So one pipeline, right? But if I go to the master branch, as of now, there is nothing in this one. So if you see right there, there is a factory, and but does not have anything right now. Okay, so these changes has to be taken from Amir's branch and put into the master. So that's what we are going to do. So we will go back and then here, right there, Amir's branch, you see, he's going to click right there. He's going to say and create a pull request. Once he create the pull request, okay, Amir's pull request to merge Amir's changes to master branch. Okay, so that's what he will put in the comments and the title or whatever, and then he will say, okay, description DSC. Okay, so he has all that, and then he's going to create a pull request. So create. Once the pull request is created, an approver will come. Somebody come. Maybe his name is your DBA or whatever, and you see that Amir Shahzad, Amir's branch into master. That's what the pull request is requested. So it is active, and now somebody comes and maybe he has all the permissions to grant the merge, right? So in my case, I have the permission, and I'm hitting complete, and you see that it is asking you want to delete Amir's branch after merging into master. No, I want to keep it as it is. So I will hit complete merge, and then what's going to happen? My changes are merging from my Amir's branch to the master branch. See right there, and it is all good. So you can take a look, you can revert, whatever you want to do, and if you want to delete a source branch, you can also do that. In my case, I'm fine, I don't want to delete it. Now if I go to master branch, now what's going to happen? In the master branch, this pipeline is there, right? So that's good, that's good news. So what we can do, and we can see the data sets are there, and everything is there. One thing I missed, so from here, anyways, we are in master branch right now. So if I go to the live mode, there is nothing in there. So if you see right there, there is nothing. Okay, so this is the flow we have done. From the Amir's branch, we have merged the changes to the master. But from the master to the live, what we have to do, if we want to push those changes, we have to hit publish button. So I am in master branch right now, and I'm going to hit publish. Before I hit publish, I want to take you back to the DevOps and go to repos here. Go to repo, and if you are in master branch right there, and then you are going to see ADF publish. So if you see ADF publish, ADF publish does not have anything really. It has just a couple of all that information. But there should be ARM template generated when I push my changes from master to the live. So see right there, that's my master branch, and then I can go ahead and publish. Right now I have one pipeline. See right there, there are data sets and everything. So I'm going to hit publish, and it's going to take my all these changes and push to the live. Once it's pushed to the live on the Azure Dev Ops, there would be ARM template will be generated. See right there, generating ARM template. Okay, so that's where it will be created right here in the ADF publish branch. Okay, so let's wait for it. So now we go right there and see, oh, generating ARM template is completed, and hit OK. That's good. So now if I go to live branch, I'm gonna see my changes here. See, the changes are there. So I can open, other people who has permission and all that in dev ADF. They can go ahead and execute the pipeline if they want and all that. Now when the ARM template is created in Azure Dev Ops, we are going to go back. So I'm going to, let's say I'm in repos, and in the repos I'm going to the ADF publisher. So once I go there, you see that you have updated ADF publish just now. So if you click right there, so right there, and see ARM template for factory that's created, ARM template for parameters is created. So there are files created, and then you have a global parameters, you have linked parameters, you have partial and all those kind of different things there. Okay, so this we are going to take ADF, everything from the ADF publish to the UAT. So that's your entire deployment ready. That's the branch from where we take the changes and put to the other data factories. Okay, so now let's go back, and all the sudden it came in my mind like, oh, Amir totally forgot to add the trigger. So there should be a trigger that should run every 1 hour, okay, or 30 minutes. So we asked Amir on the chat window. He said, okay, let me go to he went to the Azure Dev Ops again. He went to his branch again, and he Amir's branch, and now in the Amir branch, he's gonna make changes to the pipeline. So he's gonna go right there. He's clicking right there, and he's an add trigger, and he's going to say new trigger, and then he's going to choose the trigger type and then give a name. So in this case he will say copy trigger. Okay, that's the name he gave, and then he said that every 60 minutes this trigger should run. So hit OK. Now hit save. So if you guys see right there, the trigger and everything is right now in the Amir branch. If I go back to the, let me show you actually. So I'm in Amir's branch right now. If I go to the manage and then I go to the triggers, I should see trigger right there. Okay, and it's started. But if I go back to the master branch, I'm not going to see any trigger here. The pipeline is there, but we have to bring those changes from Amir's branch to the master, right? So that's what we have to create a pull request again, and then we have to publish to the master. Okay, so to the live. Okay, so what we are going to do here, Amir's branch has those changes right there, and now I can do one thing. I can create a new pull request. Okay, so once I create a new pull request, it automatically took that title and it create. Now we are taking changes from Amir's branch and putting it to the master branch, and I'm gonna hit complete. It's gonna ask you want to complete? Yes, merge. Okay, so our changes are being merged from Amir's branch to the master branch. So that's good. Now we go back to our Azure Data Factory, and here we should go to the master branch, and now if I go to the triggers and refresh, the trigger should be there. But if I go to the switch to the live mode, there is no trigger. So I can refresh and show you there is no trigger here, right? So that's because we have not published our master branch. So if I'm in master branch right now, to push the changes such as trigger from our master branch to the live ADF, what we have to do, we have to push. Okay, so I'm gonna hit to push. Sorry, every time I'm saying push, I have to publish. Okay, so you see right there, it's asking you, hey, what do you want to publish? So it's a copy trigger. Hit OK, and now what's going to happen? Our changes are going to be published from our master branch to the live. Okay, also on the Azure DevOps side, these changes will be saved in the ARM template. So you see that ARM template. So if I go back here, right there, so if I go to the repos, and in the repos, if I go to the ADF publish, so you see right there ARM template. Now that's where our trigger is. So if I will copy trigger, so let's see if it is there somewhere. Okay, let's go to repos again, ADF publish, and then we should have that. Those all changes should be there. So you have to just find it. So blob storage is rare, and see if blob storage, See right there, trigger. Okay, so it is there. All right, now so as everything is there in the ARM template in our Azure DevOps repo, what we can do, we can push these changes to the our UAT. Let me close this actually. So if you see right there, that's my Dev Data Factory, right? And that has all pipeline, and that have the trigger, and then what we have one linked service, and then we have a couple of data sets and all that. So we are all good here, right? Now what I have to do, I have to take all those changes that I have saved into the ARM template in the Azure DevOps right here in ADF publisher to the UAT. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you right there. I'm in my Azure portal, and I will go to the my resource group TBRG. Once I'm there, I'm gonna try to find the UAT Azure Data Factory. So that's Azure Data Factory right there. I'm gonna open. As you can see that this data factory have nothing. So this is a totally blank data factory. It has no pipeline. It has a no trigger, and see right there, no triggers. And also one thing you need to remember, there would be no configuration for the Git configuration. Okay, because we will be using Azure DevOps to push the changes to this factory, so we do not have to configure the GitHub configuration here for UAT or prod and all those data factories. We don't. The configuration will be only for your dev data factory, and we have that already there, if you see right there. Okay, so now we have a data factory open UAT, and I have to deploy the changes what I have in Azure DevOps ready, and that's my repository right there. Okay, so the repo name is TbRepoADF, and that's in ADF branch. I have to take these changes and push to the UAT. So what we have to do here, we have to go to the pipelines here in Azure DevOps. Okay, so you will go to the pipelines. So this pipelines in the Azure DevOps is different from our Azure Data Factory pipelines. Okay, so we have to create a pipeline. It's called the deployment pipeline or a release pipeline, and whatever you want to call. So it's going to take our changes and push to the UAT ADF. So create a pipeline here, and that's where we are going to configure. Okay, so in this case, we are going to use the Azure Repo Git. Once we select that, it's going to ask you, hey, which one you want to use it. So it's going to be this one, and that's what we are going to use, right? So in my case, what we have to do, once you are creating a new pipeline, and here what you will be you will be going to the release, and then creating our pipeline. So we clicked on pipelines, and you will be going to release again, and we are creating a release. So pipelines, release, and then create a new pipeline. So first of all, the very important part is this artifacts. So we need to tell from where our material is coming from. So where our source is. So this artifacts is going to be our the repo in which we have saved the information, and that repo, you guys know that that's our ADF publisher, and that's for the development, right? So whatever the branches, if you guys remember that we pushed everything to the ADF publisher, and we did in this part, right? So that's where it is we have to tell, and here we are going to tell where to push, so I'm going to add an artifact. Now here it is going to ask you project name, so that's the project name, and then it's going to ask you, okay, setting, this setting is required, right? So we select our project, and here it is asking you like, hey, is it a build Azure repos, or a GitHub or a TFVC? In our case, it's Azure DevOps, right? So we are selecting our project. So there are two projects, remember that. One is the we are using is called TbProjectADF. So I selected that, and then a source. So I'm going to go further down there, and which one is yours. So if you remember that repositories, so there are two repositories. One was created default. So we are not using that one. So we are using TbRepoADF. Once we do that, it is going to give you all those kind of information. Hey, but you have to select that. In default branch, if you remember that, we have a ADF publisher. That's what we need to use from this is the place where all the changes are saved, the ARM template and everything, and from here we are going to push to the UAT. Now this part, source alias, you can remember it, you can save it or whatever you want to do it. It's underscore repo ADF. So underscore repo ADF. So it's just underscore first and then the TB repo ADF, right? So just leave as it is, and just remember that, make a note of it, because we will be using this one in one of the script when we are going to disable and enable the trigger. Okay, so we add to this. So this part is done now. Now the next part starts where you need to deploy these changes, right? So we are taken from this guy. So we are creating a release in which all the changes are going to come from ADF publish, and then we will be pushing to the our UAT. So here we will be creating stages, and then add a stage, and in this stage you will be creating empty job. So once you click right there, you can provide a name, whatever you want to do it, stage 3 or whatever is fine, so that's Amir Shehzad owner, that's fine. And then we do that, hit close, and here you have jobs now, and one job. Once you click right there, and here is that job. So you click right there, and now you have agent job. Now what you want to do here, Azure pipelines and all that information is looking same. You're not going to do anything right there. So leave as it is, and here we will be clicking plus sign. So now once you click plus sign, you're going to add steps kind of things, in this job. So in Azure ARM template, let's see if we find that. So we found this ARM template deployment. That's what we need actually. Okay, so I'm gonna hit add, and once I do that, I can come back and click right there. So now I have to configure this entire part. So here I have to tell like, okay, deployment name. So I can leave this as it is, a resource group, right? So in this case, you can have a resource group. Let's see, right there. So let me. We can do subscription, and here we will provide subscription, and in my case that's my subscription, and then it will ask me authorize to it. Okay, because if I don't authorize, then I cannot access my Azure Data Factory, that's a UAT, right one. So I have to provide the subscription of the Data Factory, where I am deploying. In this case, I'm going to deploy to the ADF UAT, right? So now it's ask you subscription, same thing, nothing really different. And then now it is asking you location. So in my case, it's going to be East US. Okay, so link template is fine, just the template you select right here. And then that's if you don't know what exactly you need to choose, you can always come here and just hover this mouse right there. It helps you a little bit, in my case it's not coming up anyways. See right there. Okay, so see right there, it helps you, you can read through and all that, but in my case I don't really have to worry. So I'm going to click right there and go right there, click all the way here, and I have to select the ARM template for factory.json. Okay, so that's it. Then I will be selecting template parameters. So if I will be going right there, and I will be going to the template, ARM template for parameters for factory. Now this is where the fun part start. Okay, how you will be overriding the parameters, of these, such as, so if I click right there, it's going to open some of them. In my case, if you remember that my factory name is TbAzure-Dev. That's our original data factory, but we will be deploying to the UAT factory. So I have to change that. Okay. Also, look at this linked blob connection. So if you remember that in the portal, what we had there, we had created this dev storage, right? And in the dev storage, we had container, and that's input container and output container. So now in our Azure Dev, ADF, we created the pipeline. In the pipeline, we use that linked service, and that linked service was pointing to the dev storage, right? And in our UAT, what's going to happen? It has to point to the UAT. So if you go back right there, so we need to point this to the UAT, and the input fold containers are same, so no big deal, but my storage name is different. So I have to do one thing. I have to go to right there in UAT storage, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the access keys, and then I'm going to copy the connection string because my connection is changing in the dev environment. When I'm running my data factory pipelines, they are copying the data from the dev storage container called input and moving to the output. But in my UAT, the pipeline should be pointing to the UAT storage. So I copied the connection string for that. So that's what I need to do and provide in the parameters. So new release here, and see linked blob storage connection. So inside these two dots, I'm just gonna paste that connection string, and then I'm going to hit OK. So in your case, if you have saved the passwords or connection strings such as in Azure key vaults and all that, so you can always provide the according to your environment, such as UAT, you have a different Azure key vault and all, so you will be changing that accordingly. Okay, so hit OK now here, and the deployment in mode incremental is fine, and deployment name if you want to give something, and I'm just fine with everything as it is, and going to save. Just leave this information as it is. Okay, so hit OK. Now if I go to the release here, click on release, and see the new releases right there. So I can go right there and should give some proper name. So in this case, I did not give the name. I'm going to call it dev to UAT. Okay, so that will work, and I'm going to save it and go to release again. So if you notice right there, I am in the Azure Dev Ops. Under the Azure Dev Ops, I am in this project right there. That's our project. In this project, I am under pipelines. In the pipelines, we have a release. So don't be confused where this guy is existing. So you can see that right there. Go to the dev to UAT now, and what we are going to do here, we are going to create a new release. Okay, so you can click right there. So once we create new release, what's going to happen? It's going to take our information from our this guy. Okay, that's our source alias, right? And it's going to take from here and put into the stage 3. So what is stage 3? If you guys remember that, stage 3, if you go back and edit our release, and that's a stage 3. So you can name it whatever you want. So I can call it UAT. Okay, just for the sake of we remember that. So I'm gonna save it. Okay, so now it's gonna take the stuff from here and put it into UAT. So go to release again, and now we create release, and it's going to take from here and publish it to UAT and hit create. So if you can see right there is the release in progress, and you can see right there the stage, created queue and all that. You can click right there, and you can click right there wherever you want and see the progress. So if you see, click right there, manually triggered, and then artifacts are right there, and now it is taken the ARM template deployment, and if I can click on the logs, you can see all those information. If you want to come back to it, you can always click right there, or you can just enter full screen, whatever. So you have all that. Now in this case, what happened, the resource TB user under resources was not found. Okay, so let's try to see what exactly happened. At least one resource deployment failed. Please list the deployment operation for details. Okay, so resource found. The resource Microsoft Data Factory. Factory is a TB. Okay, this is our UAT factory. Under resource group, null, not found. Okay, so that's there is something we missed, right? We should be providing that our resource group name. So I'm going to close this guy and go back to my release. So let's take a look at what exactly happened here. So what we are doing here looks like we did everything, but I think we are missing the resource group. So let me go back to my release again, edit, and in the edit, I'm going to go to the job right there. And here we are going to select the subscription on template deployment, right? So now what we have here, we have a subscription That is maybe we should do the resource group. Maybe that's where we should be doing. So because it did not ask me resource group, so I'm gonna go click resource group, and here it asks me Azure resource. Yeah, that's your subscription. Yes, that's my subscription. And create or update resource group, and that's resource group, and I'm gonna select the resource group. Okay, so now we have the resource group. So TBRG and location. East US. Okay, so the rest of that everything looks fine to us, So I believe that's where a deployment scope should be resource group. So as this is not like I'm doing on a daily basis, so probably I'm thinking like instead of saying subscription, do the resource group, and then it asks you like, hey, which subscription it belong to, and then you will be fine. Okay, let's hit save and retry. So it is saved now. We are going to go to releases again, and then we are going to create a new release. And same thing we are going to create, and now it's release 2. It's retrying over. For first time it failed. Remember we failed when it was saying like I couldn't find your resource group. So now it is working, and see what happened there. 2 out of 3 ARM template, 3 out of 3 looks like it's working better now. So ARM deployment name is ARM factory. Yep, that's a good deployment. Factory is in progress. And looks like it's going really good now. Okay, so our initial job, and then it downloaded the artifacts, and then on deployments is fine, and then finalize the job. So it's successful. That's great. So I'm very happy. It is completed successfully. You can see. So it took all the changes from our ADF publish branch and put to the UAT data factory. So let's go to the UAT data factory right there and take a look. Remember that there was no pipeline, and now this time we are going to go and see. So as of now, it looks like there is no pipeline, right? So we have to refresh. So if we refresh, the pipeline is there, so we can see the pipeline, and it is right here. And then what happened? Now everything is good. We have data sets. If I go to the our triggers, and our trigger is also deployed, but notice that the trigger is stopped. So when if you have triggers coming from your dev to the UAT or prod, they will be deployed, but their status will be stopped. So we can go ahead and start the trigger, so that's fine, and then we have to publish in our UAT ADF. So this is the first time when we deploy our changes from our dev data factory, and actually we did not do the straightforward. We save those changes into our Azure Dev Ops, and then use the Azure Dev Ops to deploy to the UAT ADF. Now this is good. What we are going to do here, we are going to go to the pipeline again and execute. Now what we are expecting, it should read a file from our let me go back to the UAT containers, and I'm expecting this should take a file from this guy, and then create a file in the output container right there. This is UAT storage, you see right there. Okay, so it created the file, so that's good. It's working as expected. So we didn't make any changes after the deployment and anything. We just enabled the trigger and executed our pipeline by just for ourselves. Now if I go back to my Azure Data Factory, so here is my Azure Data Factory, and I'm a that developer. Somebody like notice, oh, Mr. Amir has not do such and such and such and such, so he had to make changes. So Mr. Amir go back to his branch and in the Dev Data Factory, and he will say like, okay, so what changes they were expecting. They said that okay, there was a pipeline there, but in the pipeline probably he has done something really, maybe trigger name was not coming correct, or some changes that had to be done, and he did not complete those changes. Okay, so Amir has to complete those changes. Let me go back to Amir branch, and here is the pipeline, right? So somebody might just have said that this is the description was not present. So okay, Amir is adding description this time, and this time. Okay, so that's fine. Amir saved the changes, and then he's saying like, oh, let me put the pull request so my changes can go to the from the Amir branch to the master. Okay, so he created a pull request again. So he created a pull request and he made these changes, create, and then his changes are completed again. Okay, somebody merged his changes from his Amir branch to the master. Once the changes are merged, what they did, they went back to the Azure Data Factory and now they opened the master branch, and in the master branch there was a change. If you remember that somebody, Amir, has put the description, right? So these changes has to be published. So why? Because then these changes will be saved in the ARM template in the Azure Dev Ops, right? So somebody is going to come there in the master branch, they published, and then these changes will be published. So see, it says edited, so hit OK. Now these changes are taken from the master branch and put into the ADF publish branch, and also saved in that file called on template. So see right there, the published completed, and then ARM template is being generated. Now once these changes are saved in ADF publish, if you want to see right there, so they will be saved, and somebody say like, oh, these changes are saved, let's push these changes from the dev branch, that's our ADF publisher in the Azure Dev Ops to the UAT ADF. So some person will come here in the repos and they will go to the they will go to the pipelines, go to release and say like, oh, let me run a new release. So they're going to go ahead and create a new release. These releases can be scheduled, so that's also one of the things, but I'm showing you manually because I'm performing this demo. Okay, so I'm going to create the new release and then going to create. Okay, so a new release is created. So the changes from our ADF repo will be published to the Azure ADF UAT. That shouldn't be a problem, right? Because there was not a whole lot change, there was only description change. But I want to show you what happened in this case. So this release should fail. So, and I want to show you why it should fail. So you see right there, the UAT release, this release has failed, and let's take a look what happened. So once we click on the logs, and here you can see that cannot updated enabled trigger, the trigger needs to be disabled first. So that's the problem. The trigger has to be disabled first, and then we deploy the changes, and then it has to be restarted. So these are two steps we have to add to our release. So we are going to go back to release here, and then we are going to go our release right there and hit edit. In the UAT, these stages, we are going to click on job, and here we will be creating the our add button right there. Okay, so we have to add the script first. So here's the deal. What we have to do, we have to, Microsoft has provided this script. I will put in the link. So you have to save this script, and then what you have to do, you have to run a couple of commands from here. Okay, so these command has to be run in the before, and then this command has to be run after the deployment, and this is the entire code. First of all, you have to save. So I'm going to make a copy of this code and go to some input folder here, and I'm going to make a new and call this some code. So I will call it C. Let's say I already had it, so I will say mscicd. Okay, so that's the name I have given, and I open this file, paste it there, hit save, and then I'm going to change the extension. So I will call it ps1 because it's a PowerShell script. Okay, so ps1, that's what you will do. Yes, change that. Now this code has to be saved, this file has to be saved in the our ADF release branch. So that's what I'm going to do right there. So I'm going to go to the Azure DevOps again, and in the Azure DevOps I will be going to the our repos, this guy, right? In the repos we have ADF branch right there, and here that's the ADF TbAzure DevOps is right there. So I can go click right there and say upload file. Now I'm going to put this file right there, browse, and go to my input folder, and here is my mscicd.ps. Okay, so I will then just go ahead and commit this, and this file is right there. So you see that right there, that file is there. Okay, so that's great. And now what we have to do, we have to add a couple more steps. So we are going to go back to our pipelines here in the Azure Dev Ops. So go to release and here go to the our release and hit edit. In the edit, we are going to go right there in the jobs and we are going to click right there. Here we will be doing Azure PowerShell. Okay, so we will search for Azure PowerShell and click add right there, and now it is added. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually add two of them, and then I can rename them. So right there I'm going to rename this Azure PowerShell, leave this as it is, whatever you want, and say disable trigger, and on which subscription we would like to run, and that's going to be our this subscription. And then I'm going to use a script file path. Okay, so I have to navigate to this file path. So remember that that's where I have saved the file. Okay, so now here in the script arguments, so we have to use that, and we can use the latest install version, but we have to still provide the script argument. So if you go to Microsoft website, and here are two commands. So this is our first command that they want us to use. So I'm going to copy this guy and then put in the notepad right here. So you have to make changes to it. Okay, so first of all, this is going to stay as it is till here. So it is asking you your ARM template location. That's what you need to provide. Okay, so that is your ARM template location, and then what's going to happen, you have to provide your resource group name. So in our case, your resource group is TB or G. That's correct. And then we have Azure Data Factory name. So let me go back to Azure Data Factory name. So in our case, sorry, actually it was right here, right? So it is a ADF. That's where it is going to be pasted right there. And then you have rest, everything is okay for now. And here we have to provide your ARM template location. So where exactly is our ARM template location? So we are going to go back right there, and let me find out the ARM template location. This is my UAT, so I'm just going to copy some information from there. So if you guys see right there, that's our ARM template location. See right there, so that's our ARM template location, and I'm going to copy that so I can use it right there. Okay, so we should be good here now, and I'm going to copy this. This is going to be our disable trigger. So go back, go to release here, and then we were clicking right there. Sorry, actually right here. So we had another tab open. Okay, so we are in disable triggers, and here we are going to paste it. Okay, so this works just fine. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to what else we have here? Yep, this is good. And then I'm going to go to the next one, and here what I will do, this is our disable trigger, so I can just move up. So if you see, I can move up here, and now I'm going to go to the other one, and I'm going to say enable trigger, and select the subscription. Then yeah, script path, that remember CI/CD path. So this is the MS CI/CD path that we just saved. So that's the path, and then in the script argument, I can just paste this. So if I go back to Microsoft website right here, it asks me this part. See, here is true, it is false, and this is false here, this is true. So other way around. So this is post. So that's what I'm doing after trigger, right? After deployment. So I'm going to go back here and make changes. So this need to be false. So you see that the pre-deployment is false because it's a post-deployment now, and the lead deployment, so it's going to be true. Okay, so that means if there are some pipeline has been deleted from the source, and they will be deleted from the your UAT pipeline ADF as well. Okay, so you can read further more details of all that. Okay, so latest version is just fine, and I'm going to hit save. Yes. So now what our release should be doing, it is going to disable the trigger first, then ARM template changes will be deployed to UAT, and then our trigger will be enabled after that. So it's in all happening in the ADF underscore UAT, right? So we go to release again, and in the release we are going to go right there and create a new release, and then create, and that's where our release 4 is working. And now we have 3 steps. So first, disable trigger, second, deploy ARM template, and third, enable trigger. So if I go back right here, let me take you to the trigger right there. It's working. This is UAT, TbAzure-UAT, right? So if I go to the triggers here, it's just enabled, and it's right there available. No, nothing is disabled as of now. So right now it's working, our script. So it's getting trigger information, and then I say it's saying stop deployed triggers, and then that part is done. Disable trigger is completed, and now you can see right there, and it knows that copy trigger was the only trigger. So if you have more, it is going to get your list, and it disabled. So if I go to the UAT now, you can see right there it's stopped, and now our Azure Dev Ops is working on the second part, ARM, deploying ARM template. See right there, it succeeded, and now it is working on enabling the trigger. So it is getting trigger, getting pipelines, getting data sets, okay, getting all that information, different linked services and everything, and finally resource group TB, RGB, RG. Now see, start active triggers, and the starting trigger, copy trigger, true. Okay, so that's all it is doing, and finally it is completed. So you can see all the details. If you want to see further details one after one and all that, you can take a look. Okay, so this is awesome. So this works great. So now I can go back to my Azure UAT ADF. See, this trigger was disabled while the deployment, and if I refresh, it is enabled. If I go back to my pipeline and then click on pipeline, and let me refresh it just for the sake, and if I click on copy activity, you see the description is available in the TbAzure-UAT. So now this is how it works. Not a this is pretty easy. Now if somebody want to go ahead and see there, Mr. Amir, he's asked to create another pipeline. He's going to create a new pipeline, and let's see, he will call it pipeline 2, and he has wait activity right there. So wait activity, and in the wait activity he's not putting my second pipeline deployment, right? So it's all good. And with Mr. Amir, he saved the changes, and he created the pull request, and now this pull request created, and his pull request is merged into the master branch, and then once it's merged successfully, somebody go into the dev ADF and then go to the master branch, and then they will say like, oh, there is another pipeline that need to be published. So they're going to publish, and all these changes will be published to the live data factory and also saved in the ADF branch in our Azure Dev Ops, and our ARM template will be updated. So you see, publishing completing, and the ARM template is being generated. Now on schedule, maybe after a week or maybe after every evening or something like that, in the DevOps, so somebody is like, oh, we should push the changes from the Dev Data Factory that we have made and saved into the Azure DevOps in the repos. So we have made the changes in ADF publish branch, right? So there was a new pipeline is there. We should push that to the UAT. So they will come to the pipelines here, okay, go to release, and then click on the release right there, edit, and then sorry, they will not even do edit anymore because they have done all that, right? They have already pre and post and every script. They will come here, they will say new, create release, and create. Now all the changes from the ADF publish will be taken and pushed to the TbAzure-UAT data factory. So first it will disable a trigger, and then second part will be ARM template changes will be taken and pushed to the UAT ADF, and then at the end the trigger will be started or started. So ARM template is there. Our Azure enable trigger is working right now. That's all completed. So our see everything is completed successfully. Now if I will go back to our Azure TbAzure-UAT and refresh the pipeline, there should be another pipeline. That should be pipeline 2. See right there? So it is there. My second pipeline deployment. All right, so this is how you will be creating Azure Dev Ops for CI/CD and work with Azure Data Factory. So I hope you will learn some real scenarios here, and they will be helpful for you to work on daily basis. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.